Why does your bank account balance consistently shrink, even when you are meticulously tracking discount metrics and buying high-volume goods to optimize your family budget? You proudly calculate the small margins saved per unit, entirely overlooking the fact that your immediate checking account liquidity has dropped significantly compared to the prior month. Entering a wholesale club triggers a powerful psychological defense mechanism that immediately redefines massive volume acquisition as a profound form of fiscal prudence. This subconscious shift blinds us to a systemic capitalization error that quietly drains modern household balance sheets while we celebrate superficial retail victories. The precise psychological friction point occurs immediately after paying that upfront annual subscription fee, altering how your brain processes future economic transactions. The human brain subconsciously reclassifies this fixed cost as a financial mandate to maximize purchase frequency and volume at that specific retailer. This cognitive bias forces you to justify the initial investment, creating an artificial internal pressure to buy items you do not immediately need. This psychological mechanism converts a highly liquid household cash reserve into zero-yield, rapidly depreciating physical inventory sitting uselessly in your private residential storage spaces. By purchasing industrial quantities, you are essentially establishing a domestic pantry as an unproductive asset warehouse that traps your immediate liquid wealth. This capital lockup means your hard-earned cash is tied up in bulk paper towels and canned goods instead of earning returns elsewhere. When you calculate the real cost, you must factor in product expiration velocity, which systematically undercuts any theoretical unit savings you achieved at checkout. Modern data indicates that bulk purchasing often drives real inventory waste toward a critical 30% threshold, completely erasing your perceived financial optimization. Wholesale distributors are masterfully designed to induce artificial transaction velocity, accelerating the pace at which capital exits your immediate household ecosystem. The layout, the massive carts, and the specific structural presentation are all optimized to bypass your logical spending boundaries entirely. This sophisticated commercial matrix ensures that while you focus intensely on saving pennies per ounce, you willingly sacrifice your broader macroeconomic flexibility. Your monthly liquidity remains heavily constrained because your wealth is frozen in physical hoarding rather than circulating actively within your portfolio. To permanently master your capital allocation, you must learn to recognize these structural illusions before they dictate your weekly consumer behavior. True financial intelligence requires evaluating the real cost of volume discount strategies against the massive opportunity cost of frozen family liquidity. Understanding this membership paradox is the vital first step toward reclaiming absolute control over your monthly wealth accumulation trajectory. By reevaluating your real consumption data, you can insulate your hard-earned assets from the subtle traps embedded within modern retail environments. We must break down the cold, hard numbers to expose exactly how much value is lost during this systemic asset disposal process. The structural mechanism behind this volume model relies entirely on shifting inventory storage burdens directly from the distributor onto the end consumer. When you house industrial quantities of household goods, you are giving up expensive residential square footage to store low-yield physical commodities. Reclaiming this wasted spatial and financial utility is the ultimate secret to optimizing your real-world household balance sheet over the long term. Upgrade your behavioral economic intelligence right now. Subscribe to Economecha to permanently deprogram the consumer algorithms manipulating your everyday capital allocation choices. To truly understand this hidden cash drain, we must track two distinct household archetypes over a comprehensive 12-month tracking period. Profile A utilizes a lean, just-in-time micro-purchasing strategy that strictly matches immediate weekly demand without accumulating unnecessary surplus. Profile B operates entirely under the warehouse membership model, consistently purchasing large volumes to secure lower theoretical unit prices. The mathematical reality yields a staggering paradox, where Profile B experiences a persistent 15% reduction in actual liquid cash flow. This wealth erosion is driven entirely by phantom inventory degradation and the subtle artificial acceleration of daily household consumption patterns. The horizontal comparison matrix exposes the precise mathematical friction between your calculated unit savings and the realized capital drag. When you factor in asset disposal costs, the minor discounts achieved at the cash register are entirely wiped out. This continuous operational friction quietly limits your broader economic flexibility, leaving your portfolio vulnerable to sudden liquidity constraints. Most families remain completely blind to this mechanism because retail corporations intentionally design receipts to highlight superficial discount metrics. The psychological reinforcement of seeing saved dollars systematically drives you back to the warehouse, compounding the underlying capital allocation error. You end up purchasing products you never intended to buy, significantly expanding your overall food waste opportunity cost every single month. Over a 12-month macro cycle, this behavioral pattern creates an invisible ceiling on your ability to accumulate liquid cash reserves. Breaking free from this institutionalized system requires a complete structural re-engineering of your everyday consumer purchasing frameworks. By realigning your purchasing habits with actual immediate utility, you can easily reclaim that lost 15% of your liquid capital. It is time to transition from defensive psychological accounting to proactive, data-driven asset management within your modern household. To permanently neutralize this wealth drain, you must deploy a strict framework known as the just-in-time Micro-Allocation Matrix. This scientific framework explicitly requires you to price your private residential square footage as commercial storage fees before buying bulk. You must factor in a mandatory 30% liquidity penalty before completing any volume purchase that exceeds a 14-day consumption window. Before you cross the threshold of any wholesale distributor tomorrow morning, calculate your exact, immediate household consumption capacity. Measure your precise needs for the next 72 hours, balance it against current cash liquidity requirements, and protect your capital. Explicitly treat your annual membership fee as a completely gone, unrecoverable historical sunk cost that must never dictate future behavior. Never allow a past membership fee to artificially dictate your future transaction volume or compromise your current economic freedom. By treating past subscription costs as entirely irrelevant history, you immediately immunize yourself against induced retail transaction acceleration. Shifting your behavioral default setting from volume optimization to strict liquidity preservation guarantees stable, predictable long-term wealth expansion. Upgrade your asset management intelligence permanently, master your internal spending algorithms, and join the Economecha network to secure your financial future today.